Oh, yes, lit.
I need to...
We lit, we loud. No.
Do you think we need the pinned comment?
Say it again.
Do you think we need the pinned comment?
Ooh, y'all lit. We already lit. Wow, it's already lit. Wow.
Hey, Nate.
It's already lit. What's up? Hey, you gotta let me know if I have my hands in my face. I do that from time to time.
All right. Nate, can you give us a sound check? Can you hear us? Nate, welcome.
Can y'all hear us right now?
Yeah, for those of you who are just joining, let us know if you can hear us.
Right.
Okay, we got the thumbs up from Alex.
It's really lit. What's up, y'all? Okay, I'm gonna let Candace do her thing. I'm gonna shut up.
All right, so welcome to CultTV. You are tuned into our finale episode. We just wrapped a unofficial season 1. This started out of, honestly, rejection. I got laid off from my job at a small news company, and then I applied to some positions in LA, and I didn't get those, and I wanted an anchor position, and so this is part just me doing what I normally do and talking to people.
Let's go, Candace. You're doing your thing.
And part of it is creating a lane for myself where I didn't get the lane that I wanted, so I have to build it myself. So, for season 2 kicks off on January 2nd. Please nominate people. Please reach out to people that you think would be cool for me to talk to. I want to keep this going, and I'm excited for season 2. Tonight's topic, we are discussing She's Gotta Have It and her approach to dating. She's Gotta Have It is the latest work to address Black women in dating. And a lot of households and a lot of homies were divided about Nola. Like, is she confused? Is she just a hoe? Is she a feminist icon? So today I've got one of my homies, Deron.
How y'all doing?
He's here to talk about his hot take. So Deron, go ahead and introduce yourself. I'm gonna stop talking soon, but I want to start with putting out our biases in this conversation. So, okay. Deron, you introduce yourself. Let us know your biases and your background up front. That's going to color where we stand in this conversation.
Okay, so when we talk about biases, we're talking about my disposition, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let me introduce myself. My name is Deron Hogans. I am a brand strategist by day, Renaissance man by night. Some label me a provocateur. And I'm a strong Nola Darling Advocate. So that's who I am. And if me being a Nola Darling Advocate hasn't given you any hint to my biases, let's talk about some of my biases.
Let's talk about it. Let's get into it.
So let's define my biases in this realm. So we're talking about dating, we're talking about relationships, we're talking about love, we're talking about all that, right?
All of that.
Okay, my bias. I am biased against traditional social monogamy.
Okay.
So, to be clear, I am biased against the idea that two people or that a legitimate relationship only exists in the realm of two people being together in a couple. I'm biased against that. Did that?
Yeah.
Are we good? Are we there
yet?
We're
good.
Okay.
I think we're clear. I think we got it.
Do I put some more meat on it? No, we good.
I think the meat's gonna come.
Okay.
So Deron is, if you're just joining in, we're talking about Nola's dating strategy, and we're putting our biases out there because that colors the conversation. Deron is against traditional monogamy.
Okay.
And I am the monogamous princess.
The mono guy.
Yeah, the mono guy. Like, I am all for traditional monogamy. I'm all for, finding one person and making it work, making it stick with that one person.
Now, let's be clear, though. Like, I don't not believe in monogamy.
Okay.
I just don't think it's the only...
Okay, so I think we're similar in that regard. Like, I don't don't think monogamy is the only way you can do it. That's just my personal preferred method of dating and relationship building.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
So let's clarify that. I'm not against monogamy, but I am biased against it as the sole means through which human beings can manage relationships.
Okay.
All right.
So our personal biases
it's
lit. Our personal biases are now we put them out there. So let's get into it. So in your view, what is Nola Darling's dating strategy?
Okay, so I'm only going to use labels because that's going to help foster the conversation. Though I will caveat and say, I think it was pretty clear that Spike Lee or whoever was managing the show wanted her to exist without labels. Do you agree with that?
I don't.
Okay. All right.
I think that artistically Spike Lee tried to make her without labels, but because of how some of her outcomes occurred,
right?
Yeah, so how she went about her decision making and some of the things that happened to her character, I feel like he tried to steer it in one direction, and I felt like he kind of tried to punish her. So even if he didn't put any technical labels on her, he was still making a statement about her choice and how to express her dating style and her love and her relationships.
Okay, that's fair. Well, I'm gonna use labels just so we can easily define what we're talking about.
Okay.
So I think that Nola Darling's strategy is representative of somebody who is, or we would identify as a solo polyamorous individual, meaning they are aligned to the idea of polyamory, meaning they exist in non-monogamous relationships, right? They believe that they can love, date, and be in serious, meaningful, compassionate relationships with more than one person at the same time, but they choose to exist in those relationships independent of those relationships. So a solo polyamorous person.
So what do you mean by existing in a relationship but independent?
So they make the same investments that anyone would in a relationship. They make the same time, right? They split the time evenly, right, amongst all their relationships, but they choose not to commit to one relationship over the other relationships. So that would be a general polyamorous individual where they have one or two core relationships, and the other relationships kind of act as branches from that or tertiary to that.
Okay.
So she's a solo polyamorous person.
We got some comments coming in. I just want to put them out there. She was only poly because she ain't find what she wants, says Fitz. And there aren't enough hours in the day, says Andrea.
There's true.
And then Marco actually raised a question that I have. Is it really called poly or is it dating? So, personally, where would you draw the line between, as someone who understands poly world, where would you draw the line between just dating and considering yourself polyamorous?
So I've always drawn a line down the middle between where are you making emotional investments and where are you not. So to my understanding, if you are dating, right, there's a lot of light social interaction happening. Y'all might be intimate, right? But it's not really a requirement. Then if you take that same experience and you add an emotional investment, you're committing to one or two individuals, however many individuals, to kind of give them the keys, if you will, to your emotions, your personality, the intimate parts of you, then that would be the difference. So, polyamorous world, you can have your one or two or however many core partners and then date other people. So the line between the two is the emotional investment that comes with the relationship that doesn't come with the dating.
Okay. So in poly, there is intentional emotional investment, even though it's with multiple people.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And I'm glad that you said that, because there at one point in the story when she had gotten street harassed and it was a traumatic experience for her, all her homegirls encouraged her to tell the guy she was dating. And me personally, I don't think I would tell a guy, like, if there's three of you, I don't think I would tell all three. I might tell, like, a main or, like, one particular guy if I felt like it was, if I felt like it would better myself, but I don't know that I would tell all three. Like, I really didn't see the point of her telling all three.
About the others?
Well, no, I'm sorry. Specifically about her assault.
Oh, the assault.
Oh, yeah, the sexual assault. I mean, harassment, sexual assault.
And that's where you could draw the line with emotional investment, right? It's like something that happens to you that impacts you deeply.
Right.
Who do you share that with? Who do you not? I think maybe that's the line you draw between who you're dating and who you're making a serious relationship with, or taking from dating to a next level.
Okay. And I just want to round the conversation again. If you're just joining in, we are chatting. So this is CultTV. I'm chatting with Deron. We're talking about Nola Darling's approach to dating. We just got through unpacking polyamory and the difference between the specifics of polyamory and how it differs from actual dating. Okay, so Nola is... Say the term again. The term that you have for her dating approach.
Nola is a solo poly.
Okay.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. So she's a solo poly.
Yeah.
And where do you think her role or her position as a solo poly comes from? Like, do you think it's a matter of age and exploring, or is it cultural? If she's a successful, college-educated young Black woman. Is it generational, meaning she comes from our generation before us? Our mothers were kind of like feminist leaders and entering the workforce. Or is it because of her profession? Because she's a free-spirited, artsy type girl. So where do you think her solo polyamorous her dating style comes from?
So there are a number of factors, right, that could encourage somebody to engage in a lifestyle that Nola does. Again, she's a fictional character. We don't know everything about the depths of this character.
Right.
All we can do is make decisions about what we saw, right?
Right.
So from what I saw, it looked like this was someone who, at a very core level, knew that she could choose between what we understand to be the way in dating and something else. And this is an individual who, time and time again, throughout the show, chose something else. And her something else came to be her relationships with these three men and that one woman.
Right.
So I say, and I hate to say, to just kind of leave it hanging like that, because there's there's more sociology that could be added to it. But we can pivot away from the character and talk about some real life.
Okay, so let's pivot slightly. So, so Deron says that Nola's dating strategy comes from the fact that she can choose. She has the option to choose to be alternative in how she approaches dating. And my question was, like, do you think there are age and generational and cultural factors that led to this? We can't speak specifically about a fictional character, but what do you think are some of the factors that lead everyday people to lead lives like Nola?
Now now we can jump out the window. Okay. And I am in the window. All right. So, I mean, in my experience, as someone who self-identified for a while as a polyamorous guy,
right?
Some of the things that pushed me to make that decision about how I approached my relationships and my dating, one was just the reality, like, that you don't need to have a core relationship to be fulfilled in this day and age. And I say that to say, like, I'm 20-something.
Right.
And I'm in a world where, I'm making decent money. I have a great family foundation. And there are a lot of the women in my realm have the same.
Right.
They have the money, they have the family, they have the friends. So in terms of our needs, right, like what we need to feel fulfillment, we have those things around us.
Right.
And to look for another individual to add to the plate, to to kind of source all the things that we already have in terms of fulfillment wasn't a requirement for me.
Okay.
And that was something I learned through a number of dating experiences. And, and I didn't really know what it was until I started to see people living this alternative lifestyle and deciding to say, I don't need that.
Right.
So let me not approach dating in a manner that would lead me down that path because I don't need it. Mm-hmm. So that's the first thing. And we can pause there if anybody has questions or something like that.
So Andrea just asked, thank you for your question, Andrea. We love, please, if you're tuning in, please ask questions. We love when people interact with us. Andrea says, at some point, all those people won't be available and you'll feel lonely. Nope.
I mean, let's be frank. Like, loneliness is a part of life, and it is also a byproduct of choosing to go the opposite way of society. Right. And I can say, at many times, as while I dated as a polyamorous man, I felt ostracized. Mm-hmm. I felt challenged. I felt frustrated because before I could even connect with anyone, I felt like if they knew that what my disposition was, they were either out the door, they were judging me, they were doing whatever. So on the front end, yes, it's very lonely because we live in a world that's been built for social monogamy to exist and thrive. But behind that wall, like, there are people out there who feel like I feel. There are women out there who feel like I felt. And there are women out there who I made a connection with who felt how I felt. Many of which the romantic part of those relationships has transformed into long-term friendships. Mm-hmm. Friendships that I still value to this day. So it depends on how you look at it. There's two sides to the coin. If I had to liken it to, social monogamy or whatever, if two people date for a long time, get married, and, their marriage turns awry, they get divorced or whatever, that relationship is going to transform. That love is going to transform. And I think polyamory is just accepting the fact that love does transform and transcends the whatever framework it is at any given time.
Andrea asked a follow-up question. So basically, be prepared for the consequences of your lifestyle.
Oh, hell yeah! I mean, but that's the same for monogamy, though, right? It's like,
I
mean, you can't expect to be happy and fulfilled and all of those things for an extended period of time without there being rough times, right?
Right. I think, speaking to the consequences of monogamy, as somebody who's seen their parents, my parents have been married or were married for 23 years before they were divorced. Seeing their relationship and having serial monogamous relationships of my own, I think that we get too tied into the crazy first 2 months / 2 years of a relationship where it's like, where you're like in each other's face and you want to be with each other all the time and you're in absolute love, and we forget that there's still like a friendship that has to be built, that has to exist after this. There's still a co-partnership based on like actual legitimate work and actual funds and contributions and stuff. We forget that those things have to be cultivated too, because the romantic part is chemical and it waxes and wanes. I'm still an advocate. I'm still with my banner on monogamy and marriage and stuff like that. But like, I would like a realistic one. I've always been interested in like talking to people who identify as poly, because I think that you guys get that part, that the romantic white knight theory, where you're being saved by the love of your life, is not a sustainable long-term relationship model. Cubicles and curls. She says, this is my good friend Alicia, she says, thoughts on the idea that men are naturally poly?
So look, all right, let's take all the curtains off, right? We are human beings, right? We are creatures. We are creatures.
We are. Yep.
And like, as a part of that existence that we have, like, we have like things that happen, reactions where we see people who we're attracted to. We react, men and women, right? And on the idea that men are naturally poly, I personally believe that naturally, and when I say naturally, I mean like, if you take society and learnings and everything away from all people, all people, men and women, everyone is home, right? Like, we've been put on this earth to reproduce and do all of these things.
Right.
Everything that we align to in terms of frameworks is socialized, culturalized. So these are learned things.
Okay.
Now, within the socialized framework,
men are given more room.
Men have definitely been given more leverage to kind of live life in a way that's like, you're a monogamous,
right?
You ain't real, you know,
right?
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So there are some taboo cultural things at work, some unspoken things at work that kind of give men the signal that it's okay to pursue multiple women, but give women the signal that it's not okay to pursue multiple men. And back to Nola, I think that's why her character is so controversial, because if you put a guy in her role and women around her, then it looks like a regular...
Right, it's like regular life. It's how to be a player.
Or
any other movie.
So many movies,
The pretty cool counselor makes the point that poly requires the participation of unicorns. You have to be extremely secure to pull that off. I wanted to quickly speak to that because it takes us to one of our other questions that we wanted to touch on, and the flaws with Nola's dating strategy. So I think for me as a woman watching this, and I consider myself empowered, and I try not to slut shame and all of those things that you do, all those things that you do when you want to consider other walks of life and be considerate of everybody. Forgot where I was going, actually, but now I remember. I did not feel like she was secure. I did not feel like I was watching a woman in Nola Darling making a conscious decision. I felt like she had the opportunity, the time, the resources, and the men interested in her to make a poly lifestyle, if we had to put a label on it, but I don't feel like she was completely secure in that. Like, I felt like she was like confused and all over the place, and that's what makes her conversation worthy. What were your thoughts on it?
I mean, I agree. I think that she definitely had some conflict going on, and interestingly enough, like, the conflict came out in the relationship with Opal, because you didn't see her want and long for stability, security, and all those things with the men. But with Opal, she essentially looked like she was kind of engaging in a traditional heterosexual monogamous relationship, but with a woman. So that hinted me at knowing that within her somewhere, she does want the security of, a traditional monogamous relationship. How she's going about getting it is a little backwards, and I'm not sure she's completely sold on polyamory. That's just kind of what she's doing for right now until she figures it out. But
I don't know that she's completely sold on monogamy, honestly. Like, I think that her interest in Opal was most things are self-centered and self-driven, but
I'm still gonna smash them.
I think that Opal was safety. She ran to her after she was tired of the men, after the sexual assaults, but the street harassment. She ran to her after that. Opal, she talked about how, mature she was, and Opal had the built-in kid, and, like, Opal just represented, like, a preset life.
Put a guy in Opal shoes, and what is he? He's Jamie Overstreet. I mean, you can't...
Jamie Overstreet.
So I agree, man. I definitely think there was conflict there. But there's conflict in all of us at any given time, right? Like, I think, if you ask most guys what they really want deep down inside, most guys will come back and say, like, I want to be able to do what I want to do. Right? Like,
I think most people would say
most people would say that. And maybe that's what's so counterculture about the idea of polyamory, because in some ways it is a door to be able to allow people to be more closely tied to their primal instincts than ones that are socialized by society. Who knows?
Okay, so a question that I had in looking at Nola Darling's life, again, I'm going to speak to some of the things that Spike Lee packed into her character. Nola is an attractive woman. She's college educated. She lives in New York. She is of childbearing age. She's 27, so she's not old, but she's not young. I think that Nola has a lot of privileges there where she can choose to juggle 3 quality men depending on your perspective.
Oh, here it goes.
So do you think her dating strategy is based on privilege?
Unfortunately, yes. I hate to say it. I think deep inside I want polyamory to be this democratic thing that is liberal and, gives everybody a chance to get what they want. But
Right.
it's not. And what it is just an opportunity for people who have better situations or
Right.
better, placement in the world to kind of flex their muscles. One thing that's really interesting about polyamory in a real sense is like most people who self-identify as polyamorous are high class white people. Okay, like demographically, most self-identifying polyamorous people are upper class white people. Okay, so yeah, we're good. You're good. We're good. Thanks, man. Thank you. We got Uza Eyes. They got the best service, man. So they came to check on us. But yeah, they're like upper class white folks. So they have the privilege to kind of like lean around and say like, I like you, but I don't really want to be with you. I like you, and I don't really want to be with you, and that would kind of be okay. And I think in that sense, Nola kind of is flexing her privilege a little bit because she's this fine brown-skinned woman who's an artist who has this connection to this network in New York City. She's got a brownstone and green. She's doing it. She's
living
killing
it.
She's struggling a little bit, but on the outside looking in, she got everything set up. And for any man to run into her on the street, you're kind of gonna do what she tells you to do.
Right.
Because you don't want to pass up on the opportunity to have a chance to be with Nola. And we saw that in the show where these guys just kind of doing whatever to make sure that they get her good grades.
Definitely agree with all those points there. So moving along, so what I did in having this conversation, a lot of people really, really cared about this topic. Well, cared about She's Gotta Have It and the dialogue that it kicked off about Black women and sexuality and Black women in relationships. So we're going to shift to a segment in the show. What time is it?
We at 9:32.
Okay, so we're going to shift into a segment of the show called Hashing Out Hashtags. So I went to the net and I found some of the most interesting and provocative comments about Nola Darling, and I would like our resident poly expert to speak to those, and for you guys and for you guys to also share your thoughts on some of the comments. Again, these comments are not coming from me. These are just comments that I found across YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter. Before I hop into those, Marco says, I think her lifestyle and strategy affords her the opportunity to learn what she likes and dislikes in her partner. Absolutely. I think, yeah, for sure. And I think that in DC we see a lot of like Nolas. Like this is a city full of attractive, driven women who got options.
Yeah, I mean, I call them lady killers. They just out here, they would do what they want with you and then keep moving. And that's fine, Everybody can't be okay with that, but that's fine.
Okay.
Let's take a look at some of these tweets.
So we talked about, before we hop into that, another interesting comment from one of our viewers. Andrea says, if she were ugly and uneducated, there wouldn't be a show.
That is 100% true.
I think that it would be a show, but it would be a different show. Like, it would be like, I mean, I don't even want to get into some stereotypes, but it would be some of like the more stereotypical shows that we're used to seeing. That's
Chewing
not out there.
Is one.
But are they ugly and chewing? I don't watch Chewing Gum, but I don't think they're ugly. Are they ugly?
So
the black girl not ugly.
She's not ugly, but it's the other side. It's like Nola has the juice,
right?
But the other side is, Shorty on Chewing Gum does not have the juice. It's a whole show about her not having the juice.
Okay,
right? Precious, a whole movie about her not having the juice. And it's all these struggle.
But see, before Andrea says Precious, and that's an interesting point. But I feel like when larger women act how Nola acts, people make them into like this they make them into like a manly, stereotype, and you're kind of like a voluptuous vixen, kind of stereotype. I can't even think of any. Gosh, Kim Fields was the one from
Kim Fields,
from Friday After Next. That's what happens to bigger women. When they behave like Nola, they made it to vixen.
Chewing Gum versus Nola. Let's do it. We gotta do a whole nother show on that.
I have to watch Chewing Gum.
You gotta watch Chewing Gum. Yeah.
Always a classic. My neighbor says it's hard not to date like that these days. Honestly, always a classic. Can you share more about like what do you think? Why do you think it's hard? Like, what's making it hard?
Is it hard not to date like traditionally, or hard not to?
I think it's hard not to date like Nola.
Oh, I mean, cause look, that's what we're talking about, the reality.
Right.
It's like you don't have to do it old school no more. And it's like, why go through it? You know, I see so many women pained over like, you know, guys leaving, dudes getting ghosts and all this stuff. And it's like, why put yourself through it? And the same thing for guys too. It's like, why put yourself through it when you know that she'll make a move with you, and you always gonna have something going on with different people. It's like, why put yourself through it? So I ain't recommending it. I'm just saying that it's a lot. I get it. I understand.
I think a key point here that you spoke to earlier that needs to be the basis of whether you choose to be poly or you choose to be monogamous, but is being aligned with your own self-fulfillment. Like, you need to have, however you choose to date out here, like, it's always going to be a pain point for you, or losing romantic partnerships and people in that regard is always going to be a hurdle or a pain point for you if you don't have your own sense of fulfillment and what that means for you. If you don't have that aligned, and if you don't have that self-driven, like, it cannot be dependent upon a person, or else you're always going to be in a struggle and in a challenge.
Yeah. For sure.
Okay.
All right.
So I love the commentary. We're going to get to some of the comments that I found online about She's Gotta Have It. Okay. So this one is in reference to being polyamorous.
All right.
It says,
I'm not even gonna read it. I'm gonna just listen.
Yeah, I'm gonna read it. It says, just because there's a description for it doesn't mean it's a thing, honey. The same way that people try to argue that there are more than two genders, STDs, adultery, cheating, and lying have existed throughout history too. It doesn't mean that it was okay or productive for society.
Okay, so look. For her, first of all, this comparison of like choosing how you love to gender identification, I just think speaks volumes about how people are really approaching it.
Right.
You know, if you wake up one day and you decide that you are a turtle, and you gonna walk around and tell people that you are a turtle, if it makes you happy, bro, wear your little shell. Like, wear your shell, put your hand in your shirt, do all that. Be whatever you want to be. But to say that it has a negative impact on society and the productiveness of society, who's society?
Right.
You ain't bothering me if you dating this person, that person, that person. You ain't bothering me if you get married and stay in the house all day. I don't give a fuck.
Right.
So, yeah, people got to stop internalizing other people's decisions about how to live their life just because it's different from theirs.
My only 2 cents on that person's comment is that I don't like how anytime we talk about something being remotely alternative, people immediately jump in with, okay, but STDs, gay people, and 2 genders, or trans people.
Yeah.
Like, why is it, like, we're talking about a monogamous woman, or not a monogamous woman, a polyamorous woman who was mostly heterosexual, and who dated like one woman, and all of a sudden like people want to throw in like all these other things, and it's just, I think it's like creating fear around all of those isms and all of those things.
But to be quite frank, like on Equality Day, polyamorous people celebrate Equality Day along with LGBT,
right?
Because we've been put to the side as if we just over here. And it's fine, like if that's where y'all gonna put us, but the truth is you get to choose how you want to love, who you want to love, and it shouldn't impact anybody else regardless of how you do it.
So
we had a lot of chat.
Yes, I love it. So I'm catching up. Bear with me, you guys. I'm catching up with our audience comments. Carl's James through Drew says, They once again are using black women to destroy the image of traditional women. They don't want you to win, bro. Traditional women.
They don't want you to win.
And he says, nowadays, so many women relate to that bullshit she's doing. And Andrea says, she has the question I have. What is a traditional woman? And, yeah, I just have questions about that view.
They don't want you to win.
That's, you can't just say.
Who is they?
Right. Who is they? Who is they? And what is traditional woman, Carl? Well, we're interested in seeing that. I'm just catching up, you guys. So we'll wait for Carl to follow up with us.
Yeah, we got some more tweets.
So we have some more comments. Let's see. So I have one that struck me.
Okay.
This is from my cousin, Godbody. She says, at the end, I kind of felt like this entire thing was about her being a no-label lesbian. Mm-hmm. A lot of black women who don't want to be titled or shamed as that are promiscuous with black men but seek love with women. Was that just me?
Show me the stats, bro. I hate when people throw out all of these random things like what he just said without the stats. Show me the stats. That's not. You say something like that without a data point. What am I supposed to do with it?
The no-label lesbian thing?
I mean, I don't know what to make of that. It's like, who is doing this?
Okay.
Like, if a woman is out here dating men and women, that's her business. Like,
right.
I don't know what she's doing until she gets on Twitter or Facebook or whatever and says, I am a lesbian. I am blah, 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 blah. Like,
okay.
It doesn't really matter. So, I mean, did someone wrong you, bro? Like, did a shorty leave you for another shorty? Like, because
my cousin's actually a girl, the one who left that comment.
I mean, but the general opinion, though, is like, where are these general opinions coming from? I feel like folks just get caught up in the theatrics of it because it sounds cool. Mm-hmm. It sounds like something that would be great on a show like this. But in reality, what's really happening in your life for you to internalize this and be upset? Because there might be a woman out here dating men and women.
I didn't get that at all from her comment, but I like that perspective. I like that you brought in the fact that we can't generalize on what people are doing with or without labels, without either seeing the stats or knowing them personally. Mm-hmm. I like that comment, and it stood out to me as interesting just because I didn't think of gay people at all. Like, when I was watching the show, and I realized that, like, my lens is very heteronormative. Like, I think about things in a very heterosexual context. Yeah. So I completely disregard the fact that maybe this is a no-label lesbian narrative, and maybe if you identify as LGBTQIA, that you might see some gay undertones there, or you know, overt statements about fluid sexuality in that regard that I just wouldn't consider automatically without thinking about it intentionally. Yeah. So that's why I like that comment.
Yeah, I mean, I completely step around that part of the show because I just don't understand it. I don't know what's happening there, and I'm like, she like girl, that's cool.
Yeah,
like, cool.
I don't know. I would have to actually talk to like actual lesbians and find out like what is the no label lesbian phenomena and how does that play out. And
nominate a no label lesbian and come on.
Right? Yes, please. If y'all know some no label lesbians or some lesbians that want to speak to other no label lesbians, please let me know. Oh, the comments is popping. I love this. Y'all keep that going. Keep that spicy. We'll come back to that.
That's season enough in her.
Okay. So, one woman said, Nola has 4 men, and I can't find one man. And then a guy responded, this is on YouTube, a guy responded, that's because you're not putting out. She's obviously putting out. I like this show. Females want sexual freedom, fine. Get fucked. I and men who understand the game love it. Only guys who don't have shit or don't know how to get shit would complain. Put out, get you 3, 2, 8, or 1 man. LOL.
Okay, so So I agree with what he's saying at the base of it all.
So what is he saying at the base of it?
I think underneath all that trash,
right?
All the trash adjectives and all that stuff, what he was saying is women can get what they want. If they want it, they should go get it and not feel, I guess, like pressure about it or feel anxious about it. Easier said than done because of all the hoes and bitches and tricks and all that stuff that women get called for all day, every day. So it's real easy for a guy to be like, well, if you want the dick, you can get the dick, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
But I do agree that women should, when they feel confident to, when they want to, when they, you know what I'm saying? If they want it, they should go get it. But, again, his approach kind of is just an example of how dumb we are to all of, as men, to all of the extra shit that comes with y'all's interaction with us.
Right.
Just because of y'all just existing.
Right.
As people with vaginas. So yeah, I agree with the base of what he was saying, but everything else, I don't know, he did a lot.
Yeah,
he did a lot.
He definitely did a lot. What occurred to me in watching the show, and I think Mars is the only character that really kind of was like, she a freak, like she be fucking other people. But I kind of wondered, like, I would think if you were a woman who was poly, you would find men who were like cool with that, like more. You would attract more men who were cool, would be cool with like a fluid kind of relationship with no real form or direction or intention. But it seems like she attracted like 2.5 guys that were like bent on monogamy, which is like an interesting, like I don't know how realistic that is.
Can we pause though and talk about that though?
Yeah.
Because I think that kind of has been my experience too. Like when, even before I self-identified as polyamorous, I think I always felt like I feel about dating. I just didn't know what it was. And I was always engaging in like very deep, monogamous themed relationships.
Monogamous themed.
And that was the path that I was on. And then even when I did figure out that I was going to self-identify as polyamorous, it didn't change. Like I attracted women who wanted long-term monogamous relationships. And I think I think maybe, and you can tell me what you think about this, but maybe the magnet is the fact that there is that transparency with people who are self-identifying as polyamorous, and there is that willingness to be vulnerable,
right?
That you don't necessarily get when you're engaging with people in the social monogamy framework. Kind of meeting people. It may not be like a general umbrella thing, but you got to tear some shit down when you meet people engaging in this traditional social monogamy framework. But in the polyamorous framework, it's like, this is me. Like, you gonna like me or not, So I don't know if that has an impact at all.
So you're saying like you're technically in a more secure place, in a more open place.
Yeah.
So it makes you more attracted to someone who is monogamous because you're used to that level of transparency and intimacy, and being intentional too.
Yeah, and I mean, this is one part that we didn't really talk about, but like this whole idea of like safety, health, right? That's a huge part of polyamory. What do your tests say? Are you clean? Do you got what you got?
Yeah.
These are conversations that never happen for me
in monogamous relationships.
But in polyamorous relationships, it's like, I'm clean. Here's my papers. Here's what I got going on. What you got going on? Are we good? All right, let's do it. That just adds another layer of intimacy as well.
That's so true. So I got another question. This is from Chuck Fly Ambition. He says, serious question. I always thought polyamory was deeper than simply dating multiple people, more so love and committed relationships. If you want to quickly, we discussed this briefly earlier, but Deron, could you quickly speak to that?
Yeah, I mean, you're right on point, bro. It's like your polyamory is the idea that you can have deep, committed, meaningful relationships with multiple people at one time, or however y'all manage it. And more so than the fact that it's more people, just the fact that you have the opportunity to, have alternatives to just a traditional pair where it's just y'all two. Like the fact that y'all can acknowledge that there's a longing in each other and the other people that y'all are involved with to continue to have these, relationships and communities and so on and so forth. So yeah, that definitely is what polyamory is. So you're right on point.
Okay. So one other comment that we got. Can I have a man with Jamie's career, intelligence, money, and accomplishments, Greer's body, but with Mars' personality? That's my ideal man.
Nope, you cannot have it all.
So every girl needs 3 men, huh?
I mean, look, and aside from the frameworks, monogamous, polyamory, or whatever, I truly believe that it is. Oh, let me say this. I don't want one woman to be everything. I don't expect one woman to be everything. I don't anticipate it because I just think it's a really high task. It's a high pedestal to put somebody on, and whenever you put your expectations that high, they're gonna come in under it at some point. And that's no reason to down them or treat them any kind of way. We're all human. We all have our flaws. And on the other side, I don't want to be put on a pedestal that high. I'm definitely scared of having all those expectations being aligned to me. So when I see someone say, like, can I have a Jamie, a Greer, and Mars in one person? I don't think you can. Because to even ask for that from an individual, knowing that we are all flawed and we all have our shortcomings, is unrealistic to begin with, and you're kind of putting them on the short straw from jump. But that's just my personal opinion.
See, and you know what? I agree. I think that it's hard to be, as a woman, people want us to be freaky, maternal, religious, outgoing, demure. Like they want us to be all of these successful, yet like not too like stuck up. They want us to be all of these things, and I don't know. Like I feel like women try really, really hard, and maybe I'm biased, but I feel like there's some women who do like check off all the boxes. Like they're cool, they're successful, they're attractive. They could like hang with the homies, or they could do the whole power suit thing. Andrea says that is true, but I think women, just because how we're wired, like I think we work harder to be all of those things. I wish we didn't have to.
I wish I didn't have to either. I wish I just. Oh man, we could. That's a whole nother conversation. But yeah. I don't know. Like we all have things we want, and I think when you approach it from a polyamorous approach, you just give people the levity to be who they want to be.
Right.
And the monogamous approach, for whatever reason or however we've been given it, because I don't think it was intended to be this way. But for whatever reason, 9 times out of 10 is playing itself out in a way that leaves somebody on the short end or both people on the short end. And having that success long term in relationships is just kind of getting really hard to do.
Yeah.
That's all.
Let's see. So I am just running back through these comments to see what you guys have been up to. I know it got a little spicy here, and I love it. I love that you guys are interacting with each other and engaging with each other. Okay, so one last comment that I found from online. Nola Darling is so confused with life, and that's why everything with her is chaotic. So what do you say to people who just feel like you're doing all of this because you're confused and you don't know what you want? So that's why you have to, that's why you're dating all these people, because your shit's not together.
And my response would be, why do I need to know what I want?
Ooh.
I mean, the truth of the matter is, before you know what you want, you don't know what you want.
Right.
It's like, like you figuring it out.
So does that mean that polyamory is a constant journey? Like, is it a stage or a journey?
It is,
or can it be a long term?
I mean, it is a state of being. Like, if I had to compare it, it's like Western philosophy versus Eastern philosophy. The West, individualism, capitalism, all that is finite. That is what it is, right? You make the most money in the quickest time. Eastern philosophy is chill. It's like we're all a part of the universe. We all share this life force, right? And that's polyamory versus monogamy. It's like, are you gonna jump right to the top and get everything that you want in one time? Or are you gonna like allow yourself to move through life and feel life and get impacted by life? So to say that just because she's got a lot of stuff going on in her life, like, but that's why she doesn't know what she wants. Well, duh.
Right.
What else is she gonna do? Like, she got a lot of shit going on in her life. She don't know.
See, I feel like I've never been like polyamorous, but I have like dated, as in the act of going on dates with multiple people. I have dated multiple people at one time, and I feel like when my shit is less together, I date less people. Like, I'm more traditionally monogamous when my shit is not together, because it's like I don't got time to be going on dates with you and texting you and like
and I think that's the evidence is that there is no rhyme or reason to this. Everyone has different situations, different things going on, and you gotta be in tune with what that person, like, what's happening with that person, not what your framework is, or what you think is supposed to be happening to that person because of what you saw on She's Gotta Have It,
right?
Or because of what you read on this blog or this and that. Like, what's happening with this person right now that is making them react to life the way they are, rather than just trying to generalize it. So, yeah.
So, that is all that I have on my end. We're going to open it up. Do we have any other comments or things that you guys want us to speak to or discuss here? Or is there anyone that wants to be tagged in to share their own opinion on Nola Darling?
We got some closet polys out there.
She's Gotta Have It. I think a lot of people are closet polys, but that's a whole other episode.
I see y'all signing up to the poly meetup. I see it. I get the email.
And first of all, I was there for research purposes. Thank you.
I get the email.
I was told that you told somebody else that I was on the poly meetup. I was there so I could meet other poly people for purposes of this show.
I get the email every time y'all sign up. I know y'all.
Are you a group manager?
I'm the president of poly. Okay.
Closets are for clothes, says Andrea.
Okay, 2 snaps. I see you. All right.
Yes, there are poly meetups.
You want to come? I'll sign you up. I'll send you a link right now. Come on.
Oh, Lord.
Come on out. Elevated movies tomorrow at the Madison House. You already know.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Shit. Wait.
Look, I haven't been in like a year, so yeah. She wanna go. Look at her. Yep, there we go. Doors of the church are open. Come on down.
You say you're gonna go to the mono cookout. That's right.
I do have one thing to add.
We're in DC.
I appreciate y'all for joining this evening. I will be continuing the topic in a piece that I'm working on right now. So I'm going to post it directly to Medium. Won't be no publishers in the middle, so y'all can look for that. I'm on Medium. My name on there is the same as my Instagram name, @NoDaron, KNOWDDRON. So if you want to go in there and follow me, that piece will be up by the end of the week, and we'll love to hear y'all thoughts, and I appreciate that, man.
And this has been a lovely episode of CultTV. Thank you, everybody, for joining in. Thank you for keeping it spicy in the comments section. I'm CultClassiq. If you're new to me, you can follow me on all platforms at CultClassiq. I have a She's Gotta Have It piece. I'm speaking to the trauma and coping theme that Spike Lee explored in the movie and how that was executed. You can catch that on the link in my bio. This is the season finale of CultTV. We'll be back January 2nd. My good friend Stacey has been to 22 countries in the last 2 years, and she is giving us the cheat code to cheap Black international travel.
Passport stamps, fam. Passport stamps. Mad stamps. Mad stamps.
Bye, y'all.